like an infidels versus Islam war.
What are the specific things that you are alleged to have done? How did you insult the president or Islam according to these charges?
Specifically, I think about insulting the president, there was a couple of punchlines basically commenting on his speeches, which, as I think it was written, that people felt extremely affected psychologically to see their president being insulted, and that would actually affect our status throughout the war.
Are you intimidated by this? 5 hours of interrogation, more than $2,000 in bail, possible trial, who knows what next? Are you changing the tone of your show?
The tone of my show is actually getting higher and higher and higher. And I'm not intimidated, I'm just exhausted by this. So I'm not gonna let this drain me. I'm just gonna continue and continuing with the show, continuing with the same high tone of the show. We're not going to back down. We're not going to actually, we're not going to relax about what we do. We're just going to have fun doing it as usual.
President Morsi's office says that the public prosecutor operates independently of the presidency and that he, President Morsi, respects free speech. Do you believe that?
Well, again, if they said that, I believe it. But this is exactly the same rhetoric that we heard from the ex-regime. I mean, the ex-president Mubarak never put someone directly into an investigation. There were other people who were great supporters of the regime who did that for him. And he would come again at the end and actually show his grace and release them. So, I mean, we're talking here about the fundamentals of all of this. In a modern democratic country, those laws that can actually allow people to put other people into investigation and trial and jail because of accusation like insulting the president or insulting a certain religion is ridiculous. These are actually the foundations of a fascist regime. The law of the insulting the president has been there since the 1880s. This is actually was taken from the French law, which was abandoned in 1904. We are actually we are operating with a law that has been obsolete for over a century. It's ridiculous.
And in the meantime, there are other really troubling things happening in Egypt. For instance, the huge spike in sexual assaults against women, not to mention the terrible economic problems and the security, law and order problems. I mean, do you see the government able to tackle this? Are they reacting against you because they feel under threat by the other real problems that are happening in Egypt?
The problem now with the rhetoric of the government and their supporting media, that they are blaming everything on the media for talking about problems instead of actually solving the problem. This is a government that is hanging its failure on other people right for free speech. So basically you're having an authority that has failed every single promise, and they expect that people will remain silent, and they expect that people that will shut up, and that will not happen. So that's why you have the unrest.
And Bassem, finally, when I interviewed you a few months ago, you told me that your mother was quite worried about you, that every time you popped up on television, she thought that you were going to be hauled off to jail. Do you think her fears have come true?
Well, I mean, she's still worried. And now going to jail is a risk that we have to go through. But, you know, with big shows and big programs comes great responsibility and maybe bigger risks. So I think we just have to accept that this will happen anytime. And meanwhile, we will just have fun doing this.
Have you heard from Jon Stewart?
Oh yeah, I mean, of course he asked about me, and he said, we've been in touch and we've been corresponding, and who knows, maybe he will talk about me in the show. Hi, John.
Bاسم Yusuf, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And after a break, we'll turn to something that is no laughing matter, North Korea. They're banging the war drums again in Pyongyang, and I will ask the Pentagon's top spokesman, is it just another bluff or a prelude to battle? But first, take a look at this picture of North Korea's Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un. There he is, purportedly in the war room, huddled with his military advisors. Now take a closer look at that map on the wall. It's labeled U.S. Strike Plan, and those dark lines are drawn toward potential targets in the United States, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, Hawaii, and what appears to be Austin, Texas, nuclear experts say. Really? The actual threat posed by Kim Jong-un when we come back.